Hey there, this is Terry Murison. I'm your host for Where to Find Bread Season 3, Episode 2. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about something I've been grappling with for my entire life, control of my metaphorical boardroom. It seems like there's always some adversarial, higher decision maker pulling strings so that I am on the losing end. Why does that keep happening, I wondered? Shouldn't I be in charge of me? Why do I keep doing what I don't want to do? Why do I feel like I've been exiled from my rightful place at the head of the table, my leadership role of me? Have you ever felt like that? Well, today I'm going to share how I took over my boardroom and how I will keep it. You'll find valuable takeaways to help you do the same if you need them. I'll give you links to some resources that I found helpful, and for some of them, as an Amazon associate, I do earn from qualifying purchases. I have an update for you on what I learned about the rusty gate outside my parents' Northern California ranch. Remember the dream that used to wake me up crying, where I longed to be inside, but I didn't see any of my family, only the beautiful home, the barns, and the yard, where I felt excluded? After my first therapy session, I realized that gate wasn't keeping me out. It was keeping my dysfunctional family in, so it couldn't hurt me anymore. It wasn't too many days later that I realized that every painful rejection I've ever experienced was simply a replay of shutting that gate again on another relationship or situation, a job, home, or whatever that I really cared about. When that epiphany hit, that list of 40 traumas that I told you I had prepared for my therapist shrunk. I didn't need to go back and replay each one with each new offender. Did I want to talk more about my family of origin issues? Did that still feel tender? My therapist wondered. No, not at all. What about issues in the womb or with your adoption? Nope, I felt pretty peaceful about that. Well, okay, she said, let's try some internal family systems work. Out came the EMDR paddles again, and that's how I got into the boardroom. For those of you who aren't familiar with the internal family systems model, it's a type of therapy that was developed by Richard C. Schwartz that approaches people as individuals with an internal system or family of protective and wounded parts that are guided by their core self, or they should be. His diagnosis, according to his institute website, is that we all have multiple parts to our personalities. Not that we have multiple personalities, we just have multiple parts to our personalities that can be, quote, pushed to extreme roles, but also that have valuable inherent qualities. These parts, he doesn't out and out say this, but they can get used to driving the bus, so to speak, and deny that rational thinking self the opportunity to do that. I have a link to his book, No Bad Parts, and his accompanying workbook, as well as his 3-volume set, and a link to a video from Therapy in a Nutshell of an actual guided therapy session with the Therapy in a Nutshell host on my website at wheretofindbread.us in the resources page, and linked to down below. Restoring the self to control the boardroom brings about the 8 C's of self: confidence, calmness, creativity, clarity, courage, curiosity, compassion, and connectedness. These, I think, lead to balance, peace, and wholeness. So those were our goals for my last therapy session. Now, please bear with me. This may sound a little strange, but I swear it wasn't. It wasn't any stranger than telling myself out loud, don't forget to pick up bread at the store when you are on your way home, Terry. Rather than being off, it just felt like I was reasoning with myself out loud. So Imagine you're in a boardroom, said my therapist. Who's sitting at the head of the table? Well, in my mind, there was a woman sitting at the head of the table. She was dressed professionally. She had a commanding presence. She was the kind of board chair that I've worked for more than once. She wasn't unpleasant, but she was all business. She was formidable, and she was clearly in charge. It's Madam Chair. I watched her carefully. Because I had watched the Schwartz session on Therapy in a Nutshell, and again, please watch that, I knew the idea was to make her comfortable with allowing me to take the helm of the board. Thank you for all you have done to protect me over the years. I appreciate that you've tried to intervene in situations where others were trying to put me down or force me out of places where I was rightfully in authority. But I want you to know that I am capable of representing myself now. I'm not afraid, and I'm not going to fall apart. I can handle myself and others. I'd like you to take your papers, your agenda, and move a few seats down the table. I'll be fine. She picked her stuff up and she moved down. I'll be the judge of that, she said. I knew that meant she would be watching to make sure I followed through. And if I didn't, she'd step back in and lead. Who else is there? My therapist asked. It's the people pleaser, chatty Kathy, the obsequious one, the bootlicker, the suck-up girl. She's the one who signals submission, I told her, almost begging. Please don't reject me. She's the weak one, but she thinks she's pretty smart. So I said, Chatty Kathy, I appreciate that you wanted to ensure my safety, to make sure that no one rejected me, that everyone would like me, despite the fact that I didn't like me, to make you comfortable with me taking over. I'm going to work on affirming myself and you from now on. I'll do positive self-talk to build up my self-confidence. So she sat down a few seats over at the table and said, I'll be the judge of that. I knew she too had watched me try to build my self-confidence before and doubted my ability to carry through. She was warning me that she would be ready to spring back into action too, if needed. Who else do you see? My therapist knew there were more. Skulking together away from the table and in a corner were Tough Girl and Self-Pity. Their heads were down and pressed together. They were muttering and hissing, joined at the hip. I felt they needed tough love. Get a life. Put on your big girl panties and join us at the table. They did, though they remained kind of turned toward each other, and it was clear they weren't too happy about being ordered to the table. In the other corner was Empath. She was wringing her hands and she was clearly overcome. She was the one out of all of them who saw the impacts of their actions on others and on me. She was the one who deeply felt self-sorrow and anguish. Empath loves peace and harmony, while she needed no urging, and she went to the table by herself. Miss Independence was down by the foot of the table. She too needed no urging. Looking around the table, she said, I've never really liked you guys, but I like Terry, so I'll work with you. And she sat down. The last one to join the table was Miss Priss. She was the part that cares about what others think. Everything about me, according to Miss Priss, had to be perfect. My image, my reputation, my looks, the car I drove, my management style, everything. But she had recently read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins and had moved on to Let Me. So she went to the table of her own accord, and I knew she would be okay. I went to the head of the table and I sat down. Next to the table, I could see a trap door, like the ones you see on old pirate ships. I reached over and opened it, and I could see a dark, dank hole. Inside were many exiled parts, the parts that had failed in the chair and others' estimations and had been banished for not meeting those expectations, for not meeting my expectations. As I opened the trapdoor, I could see it was full of me's. The bad leader, the bad mother, the bad wife, the little fat girl, teenager, and woman, the poor politician. They were stinky and covered with sores. They needed baths and a meal. The hold was their exile. They blinked at the bright light from the boardroom. "What did they say when you opened the trapdoor?" asked my therapist. I burst out, "It's about fucking time." She laughed. So I brought them all up into the light, and empath began helping me minister to them. "You're a leader," the therapist told me. I really am, I realized. I've had imposter syndrome. No more. "Where are you now?" she asked. I was up on Carmen Creek, a refreshing little trout stream near Salmon, Idaho. My feet were soaking in the cool, clear water, and the exiled parts were being tended to. All I could feel was peace and rest, harmony and balance. It was another great day in therapy. The next day, I was scrolling on Facebook, and I saw an exchange about a board of supervisors meeting where I used to serve in county government. In the 15 years since I left the county, I've kept my mouth mostly shut on things going on there. But I read the comments on the new articles, and I couldn't help myself. Some people spout off without having the faintest idea of what they're talking about. And I was compelled to research the agenda item and be the voice of reason. As I expected, I've been gone a long time and no one really cared what I think. But after I posted it, I thought, Madam Chair is pleased I stepped up to be a voice for truth, regardless. And then there was the dream I had that night about being at a high school reunion. I saw a pack of girls with whom I used to be very close walk by together. Well, they hadn't invited me to join them beforehand to get ready for the reunion. And signaling some sort of solidarity and belonging, they'd all done their hair in Pentecostal upsweep buns. I have no idea what that meant. And when they saw me, they waved, smiled, and just kept walking. It was the dismissive treatment that Chatty Cathy had worried about, being excluded. But when I awoke, I found myself repeating, "You're smart. You're beautiful. People like you." So I guess Chatty Cathy was pleased too. I can only imagine how the rest of my parts will test me, but I'm ready. I have become a huge supporter of family of origin work and therapy as vehicles to heal and thrive. Learning about that rusty gate, learning about the parts of me that served originally to protect me but now need to stand down, and taking control of my own boardroom have allowed me to move forward. I hope my story today has been encouraging, and I hope that all the links below will connect you with resources you can go to for your own journey. And to help you begin that journey, I'm giving away for free 50 copies of my new ebook, The 26 Days of Fresh Bread Coloring Book and Journal, to new subscribers to my Where to Find Bread newsletter. My book really is more than a journal. It's more like a companion. It's a quiet space to process, a creative outlet to calm your mind, and a structured guide to help you rediscover the strong, whole person who has been there all along. Inside, you will discover 26 days of guided healing. Each letter of the alphabet will introduce you to a powerful prompt, anchored by an inspiring quote, and give you a focus for each day. Engage your mind in intricate coloring pages. Coloring is a proven way to calm anxiety and express emotions when words just aren't enough. It's a reflective journaling space where you'll gain emotional clarity as you explore the core ingredients of healing: release, letting go, courage, and vision. In this gentle, proven framework based on the where to find bread metaphor of baking, you'll learn to gather your ingredients, trust the process, and create a life that nourishes you. This book is for you if you have experienced partner betrayal or any stressful relational upheaval and you're ready to move forward. If you're looking for a gentle, creative tool to support healing and you want to turn your wounds into wisdom and your pain into peace, and you're ready to stop surviving and start thriving, you don't have to know the whole journey. You just have to be willing to take the first step. So click on the link below now and subscribe to my newsletter and claim your free copy of the 26 Days of Fresh Bread coloring book and journal. Thanks for joining me today for episode 2 of season 3. Please sign up for my newsletter so you have access to more special offers in the coming days and you don't miss anything about the latest developments. I've really enjoyed this episode. I hope to hear from you soon, and take care, stay safe, and carpe diem.